Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. And this week we are talking to Tamara Knott. She owns the company brightgreens.ca. We're going to be talking about the area where she grew up, which is Cordova Bay. So tell me about Cordova Bay. How long has your family, how many generations have grown up of the Knotts in Cordova Bay?
Our children are the fifth generation in the Knott family to grow up in the Greater Victoria area, and many family members have been in Cordova Bay for many decades. The house that my husband and kids are in currently, we've lived there for 20 years, and just love it. It's a wonderful neighborhood.
So are you on top of the ridge? Do you have a view?
We're on top of the ridge. In the wintertime, when the trees have lost their leaves from the end of the driveway, we do have a glimpse of the water. But I'm a gardener, and I love the warm summer evenings and late sunsets. So we're happy to be back a little bit off the edge of the ridge, so we really get a lot of light in our garden in the evenings, and we can just enjoy those warm summer nights.
Yeah, one thing I think people don't realize when they go, so the Lochside Drive goes right from basically downtown up beneath the ridge on the east side of the ridge. But one thing that people don't realize when they're driving through there is, first of all, how many trees there are there. So it's quite cool, and also you don't get a lot of sun there at the end of the day.
It can be quite shady, and some people are morning people and really like to be up early and enjoy that morning sunrise. We prefer to just have lots of light and beautiful sunsets later in the evening, and we just really like the light. Other people really like to have lots of big trees and have it all leafy around them. So it's a great neighborhood in that you can find the spot that works for you, and just be really happy there.
Actually, my very first listing was on Helvetia up there.
Yeah, that's a lovely little cul-de-sac, and very quiet, almost no traffic at all, and everybody around you. It's just terrific, and the kids can just go out and play, and they're safe. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and plus they're large lots. They're, I think hers was almost 10,000 square feet.
Oh, that's not uncommon in Cordova Bay at all. Yeah.
So, favorite place to eat up there?
Well, of course, the beach house is, been renamed a few years ago with new ownership. Known for many years by the name of the family that owned it, the McMorrins. So, wonderful place to grab a bite, and they host lots of wedding receptions through the summertime, so it's fun to be down on the beach and see a young couple so excited to be married in such a beautiful setting, and then all of the guests troop up to go and enjoy a great evening. So it's a wonderful hub for the community.
Do a lot of families hang along that beach?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, and the kids all know each other through school, and so you often run into friends and neighbors down on the beach for sure.
So speaking of schools in the area, and also the proximity, you are in very close proximity to Elk Lake and Beaver Lake. But let's just go to the schools. What are the elementary and middle and high schools for that area?
For elementary, you've got a choice of two really great elementary schools, both Cordova Bay Elementary and Lochside Elementary. So depending on whether you're located more to the south or the north end of the neighborhood, you can choose from either of those. The middle school is Royal Oak Middle School. It was recently rebuilt, and so it's a beautiful building with great capacity. My son is in grade 8 at that school right now. And then for high school, there's Claremont up on the ridge. So a large school population, really great focus on scholastics and sporting activities, and just a really active group of youth, and a great facility, and so close for everybody to just to be able to walk to.
Yeah, both Royal Oak and Claremont have a big rowing program, actually.
They do indeed, in the proximity to Elk Lake for training. Lake is just absolutely terrific.
And actually, we have news about that lake. The Olympic team is moving from that facility to Vancouver. Did you hear about that?
I had heard about that, and that, the lake itself is a bit of a victim of its own success and getting a bit on the busy side with many groups rowing and wanting to fish and perform other aquatic activities. So, yeah, it's going to be too bad to see, because there's oftentimes when we're walking the lovely trail around Elk and Beaver Lake, that you'd run into various athletes and have a quick word, and it was always really exciting to see them out training. Absolutely.
Yeah, Olympians are people too.
Absolutely, for sure, for sure.
Okay, so what about breakfast place to eat around there? Do you ever go up north near the golf course?
Yeah, occasionally. There's Bill Maddox restaurant there, named after the original farmer on that property. So that's a great place to stop in any time of day, even for, a refreshing beverage later in the evening. Then you can also drop in for pastries and coffee at the beach house, and there's a coffee stop in at street level, and so you don't have to go into the main restaurant. So there's a couple of good choices, and over time, as the shopping plaza on Cordova Bay Road is rebuilt, there's going to be, I'm expecting, many other options to provide services for the neighborhood.
Yeah, that always seemed to me like you have $1 million homes and then this kind of underdeveloped mall.
Yes, it was very underdeveloped. There were some issues around much earlier contamination from gas stations that used to be sited on the land, and finally that has been figured out, and they have the permission now to go ahead and complete the development. And it'll include residences as well as commercial and retail options. So it's going to be a real nice mix of services and homes for folks in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I find already that it is a nice mix, because there's a lot of seniors residences around there in terms of the condos. They have small townhouses, and then they have a lot of homes on the hills. Do you find that a good mix of population down near closer to the water, like south of the ridge?
Yeah, I agree, and it is nice, especially for folks who want to remain in the neighborhood, but don't want to stay in their 5-bedroom house anymore. So it gives them an opportunity to stay home and move into a residence that's more of a manageable size.
The other thing is you're quite unique in terms of your location, because you're close to things like Mount Doug Park, like in other nature activities like Elk Lake and Beaver Lake. Do you take advantage of all of those?
Absolutely, and we're frequently at many of those sites because my son is a scout, and he's been involved with scouting since he was 5 years old. And before that, my older daughter was a girl guide, and for many years I was a girl guide leader as well. So yes, we know the local nature trails and all of the different places to be outdoors, and we've planted many of the trees in Mount Doug Park.
As with the guides or scouts?
Yeah, with the guides and the scouts, yes.
So one of my first whales that I ever saw in nature was off of Gordon Head, just east of Mount Doug Park. Do you see any off the beach in Cordova Bay?
I have seen orcas off the beach once, and it's my dream to see it again. It was amazing.
Apparently there's a spotter at the top of Mount Doug who looks for orcas and whales.
I did not know that.
I don't know if that's true or not. So what about in terms of going grocery shopping? Where do you go there?
Oh, there's so many choices for us and so close by. Of course, there's the big shopping plaza at Broadmead with Thrifty's flagship store. So fantastic selection of everything that you could possibly need. And then all of the regular household suppliers like Canadian Tire and Pharmasave. Of course, the the BC Liquor Store.
Of course.
Of course. Then
And lots of restaurants.
lots of restaurants, wonderful selection and variety. And then in Cordova Bay, down on Cordova Bay Road, there's Maddox Farm with a terrific Red Barn Market, lots of local produce and a great deli. So, for a quick stop in, a fantastic place to pick up your groceries. And then, of course, you're very close to all of the farm gate stops out on the peninsula along West Saanich Road, along Oldfield Road and Old West Saanich for farm fresh eggs and produce almost all year round.
So I find that's a big thing in Victoria, buying your eggs fresh and stuff. I'm actually interviewing the chicken lady later this week. I'm just wondering, do you find it easy to get fresh produce? Like, I know you grow it yourself, but what about other fresh produce?
It's very easy to do so in Victoria. The Vancouver Island Direct Farm Marketing Association, of which I'm a member, produces the annual Farm Fresh Guide, and you can find that in printed form at all the rec centres and a variety of pickup boxes in town, or you can check it out online as well, and that gives you an indication of where the farms are located, what crops they produce, when they're open, and what their availability is. Even things like blueberries and other fruit crops from the summertime, you can find frozen at these same farms all year round, and they've been, packed and frozen at the peak of their freshness, so you're getting the very, very best quality available. Even meat, chicken, lamb, very easy to find here out on the peninsula.
Actually, that's what surprised me when I moved to Victoria from Toronto. Somebody's saying, "Oh, I'm selling chickens," or "Do you want a turkey?"
Yes, and it's wonderful. The freshness and the flavor is so much better. Even with the simplest thing, an egg, when they're farm fresh and the chickens have been allowed to run outdoors and are exercised and are eating what nature intends them to be eating, the flavor is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I always say, it's August in Victoria when everybody is on the road with a bucket.
Looking for blueberries, or your neighbor's trying to give away 100 zucchinis.
Or blackberries.
Yes. Love blackberries, and what a joy it is to pull those out of the freezer in January and February when the rain's coming down sideways and it's dark at 4:30. It makes you remember the feeling of summer, and it's really great.
So what happens is you're driving down the road and all of a sudden you see somebody, usually they're dressed head to toe in like long sleeves and long pants, because and they usually, if they're smart, they have something kind of a bit solid and they have their bucket in front and they're just pulling as they go. My husband's very good at it.
Wonderful blackberries. I always take a wire hanger with me that I've unwrapped, and then you can use the hook on the end to pull the branches down. It's a really good tool to keep in the car.
You have it, your BlackBerry tool for 2019. Okay, ladder. Do you keep your ladder with you?
No, you don't need one when you've got the hanger. And it's safer to keep your feet on the ground, especially if you're picking on your own.
Don't you find like the BlackBerry is always just like a little further away than you can reach?
Just beyond your reach. I know, right at the tippy tops where they get the most wonderful warm sunshine.
So somebody was asking me the other day, we were looking at a home in the country, and she was asking about cougars and bears. Do you ever see any cougars and bears?
I have not seen any cougars or bears, but I certainly hear the alerts. There was a bear in this vicinity last year, and then at this time of year, unfortunately, it found its way into someone's backyard in the Tanner Ridge neighbourhood. There were lots of fruit trees that had been unpicked, and it was enjoying a feast and unfortunately had to be removed. Yeah.
I do find here they're a bit aggressive compared to the mainland with the natural wildlife.
I think we just don't have as expansive a space, and then they find themselves in a developed and settled area and aren't quite sure how to get out of there.
There are lots of notifications, though, about cougars, especially along the East Coast, I find, like up Mount Tomey and Mount Doug.
Yes, yeah, you frequently hear them. I think it's also possibly that there are more people in those areas, out later in the evening running or walking, enjoying the view. My mother-in-law lived on Mount Tolmie up at the top for 61 years. She never had a problem with the cougar. And she was out on those trails every day.
Yeah. You are living on the wild West Coast out here.
It's wonderful. It's an adventure every day.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want more information about Cordova Bay, and at the end we were talking a bit about Saanich West, please give me a call. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. If you want to be a guest, it's pretty easy, isn't it?
It's very easy. It's just hanging out with a friend.
Yeah, so you can contact us. Go to our website, vancouverislandtime.com. And if you want to watch us, we are on vancouverislandtime.com. We're on Vancouver Island Time on Facebook. We're also on any podcast channel that you happen to listen to. So tune in and stay tuned, because we're going to be back. We're going to be talking about Tamera's business.
brightgreens.ca.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Vancouver Island Time is brought to you by the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, Victoria, where we bring local expertise and global presence to your property.
Hi, everybody. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, and I'm back with Tamara Knott. Tamara is a longtime resident of Victoria, fifth generation Victorian, and she grows greens. Her company's name is brightgreens.ca. So, and it's actually right behind us, these two bright green, what are they?
They're converted 40-foot shipping containers.
Where'd you get the idea for that?
They're produced by a company out of Boston called freightfarms.com, and they do the conversion and all of the wiring, and it comes all set up and ready to go.
And how long have you been doing that?
Just a little over 2 years.
How's it going for you?
It's going really well. We grow on average 150 to 200 pounds of pesticide-free leafy greens and edible blossoms every week. We supply 10 restaurants in the Greater Victoria area and have a number of retail customers both at a farmer's market and here at our Saturday farm gate every week as well. So,
how did you make the connections? Because that's really hard with the restaurants.
Actually, I was surprised at how straightforward it was. I've just gone in to visit various executive chefs in different places and brought samples. Many of them have taken up my invitation to come and visit here at the farm.
So you met with these executive chefs, you gave them a sample, and they were immediately impressed?
Yes, the produce that grows, we grow in a hydroponic setting. So once it's harvested, it's very clean and dry, and there's no waste. Everything's checked over and 100% perfect when I deliver to our various commercial clients. So in the end, it ends up saving them money because there is no waste. They don't have to wash and have to dry things. It's all ready to go. Plus, I can grow, more premium quality varieties and unique things like edible blossoms all winter long.
Where do you get the water?
We're on a well here in this area of central Saanich where the farms are located, and that water comes into the farm and is UV filtered to ensure that there are no microbes or food-borne illness causing pathogens in the water, so we can offer a food-safe crop as well.
So, what do you grow?
We grow a variety of lettuces, leafy greens like mustard greens and kale, herbs like parsley and red vein sorrel, and our edible blossom crops right now are viola and borage. In our second location, we also grow a wide variety of microgreens. Many people are familiar with sunflower and pea shoots, very popular, and we grow a lot more variety to offer as well local restaurants and residents. Great variety of color and flavor and contrast to add to their salads or to garnish finished dishes before they go out to the table.
I'm just wondering, how much does it cost to get one of those containers?
Brand new, they're $85,000 US. from freight farms. We were fortunate in being able to buy a couple of used units, so we were, able to keep our capital investment quite reasonable.
Wow, I was just thinking that would be a great idea for, a community of people to do that together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to make sure that you're, well supplied with all kinds of fresh food, no matter what the weather outside. And you can certainly grow a wide variety of crops. You could focus on strawberries or basil, or have a similar mix to what I'm currently offering. So lots of flexibility, and we've been able to eliminate the transportation of leafy greens from way down in Southern California and Arizona. It's such a wasteful and inefficient system. And when the produce arrives here on Vancouver Island, there are many times where it's really not great.
It's bitter.
It's bitter, and it's already starting to get that whiffy smell because it's just about gone off. And, you might as well just take the money and throw it in your compost bin. It's really unfortunate. So as well, the nutritional value is long gone in that, aging produce. It's packaged in a lot of plastic packaging, and it's just incredibly wasteful for something that's really not even that great. I have a number of customers who have told me that until they had this fresh produce, their husbands wouldn't eat salads or even sautéed leafy greens because they just weren't tasty. And now they think it's great.
So do you do any bin programs for people where you pre-sort and pre-prepare boxes for people?
I can do, and that happens on Saturday mornings here at our farm gate. We're open at 6346 West Saanich Road every Saturday from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. And we can absolutely have your greens packaged and ready to go for pickup on those days.
How much is like a box?
We sell our salad mixes, for example, for $20 a pound. That relates to the clamshell produce in the grocery store, and it tallies up to about $18.50 a pound. So our price is only slightly more for something that's vastly higher.
Better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and tasty.
And you have other containers as well?
We do not have other containers, but I think that there is a tremendous opportunity here on the South Island. We're at the stage right now where, as a family, we're able to do all of the work in the farms, and a subsequent expansion then we would need to transition to having staff, and so we're definitely interested in looking at it, because once again, the potential is terrific, and it's a great way to create a truly sustainable food source here on Vancouver Island.
Actually, I could see you franchising it.
That may be one strategy. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that would work.
Or licensing.
Licensing, yeah, that might be a great way to do that.
Yeah, because I think there's first of all, I think there's a lot of need, but also, when you're investing in a company, $80,000 is not that much. You would immediately have, provide them with the clientele, I guess. And I think there's tons of potential there. I'm really excited about this idea. Okay, so what made you decide to get into it?
Well, I was looking for a business that I would be able to get into. Years ago, I was a project manager in a variety of provincial government agencies, and I was very lucky at the age of 42 to be expecting my last child. He was quite a surprise. And my mom laughed.
I love child.
My mom laughed. So I took a few years off to enjoy time at home with my son. And then when I wanted to get back to my career, I found that I wasn't able to get back in again. As an older woman, the technology had moved on, and I would have needed some significant retraining. So I kicked around at a number of different things, and then finally settled on freight farming. For me, it's a really nice mix of horticulture, which I've always loved to garden, and technology. And so now I have a couple of farms that are web enabled, and it's cool.
Very cool. So, can you remote control anything here?
I can. And we're able to check from our computers at home or from our phones. I'll just have a quick check in, make sure all the settings are as they should be, and that everything is running normally. So it gives you a lot of comfort when you lock the door and head out at the end of the day, that I can have a quick peek at it later if I feel I need to.
Well, why don't we take a quick peek at it right now?
That
Quick
sounds
peek
great.
at it. Okay. So we're outside the boxes right now, and you've apparently named these. What's the square footage of these and their name?
The square footage interior is 320 square feet, so they are 40-foot high cube reefer containers. This farm here is April, and this one is May, and we've named them that because it's always spring for me year-round. So welcome to Bright Greens. This is what the farm looks like overnight when the grow lights are on and the plants are enjoying getting lots and lots of light energy from the very efficient LED lights here in the farm. We have a really low power draw, so it's a great way to grow a lot of produce. Each one of the freight farms is capable of growing from 70 to 100 pounds of fresh produce every week. So it's a significant quantity of fresh greens throughout the year.
Why are the lights that color?
Plants use the red and the blue frequency of light for vegetative growth. They send most of the green and the yellow back to our eyes, so that we perceive most of the greens as green in color. And I don't want to give them any other frequencies of the light spectrum that would cause them to want to bolt or flower, because I want them to keep producing lots and lots of tender, juicy, crisp leaves for me. This is a T-floor, and this is how all refrigerator containers are built, and it allows the shipper, when a load is fully packed into a container, to push cold air into the center of the load to ensure they maintain a constant temperature, whether that load needs to be maintained just above zero or whether it needs to be maintained at freezing temperatures.
So what's with the fans?
The fans are really important for air circulation. All plants are essentially pumps. They pull nutrient-rich water up from their roots into their leaves, and then they transpire moisture once they've removed all of the nutrients from that water and give that water off to the atmosphere. So if you're in a poor air circulation, high humidity area, the plants aren't able to do that. And then you'll start to see nutrient deficiencies in the leaves and issues with the growth. Some of our environmental controls: over the door we have an air current curtain, which helps in the summertime if there are a lot of insects around outdoors. We don't really have a huge issue regarding that here in our region, but certainly in other parts of Canada or in the southern US, there's lots of mosquitoes and other insects. This is our air conditioner, maintains us at a constant 15-16 degrees Celsius throughout the year, and helps to remove some of the humidity from the air as well. This bank is a sensor array. It's constantly evaluating the water quality in our tanks for nutrient level, pH, and temperature. And when that goes out of range, the little blue pumps there on the wall dose the tanks automatically. It's really a plant spa, and it gives them the perfect environment for them to thrive. The crops that we're growing, because you can feel it's quite cool in here at the moment, are all cool weather crops, and they really prefer this very, very early spring-like temperature, about 16 degrees, and this is when they really thrive.
What are you looking at here?
This is our seedling area, and so we're growing new lettuce, kale, mustard green, and other varieties here, and preparing them for transplant into the vertical towers. There are 256 vertical towers in each farm. Each of them hold from 17 to 23 plants. So when we're fully planted and in operation, there are over 7,000 plants actively growing in each one of the containers at any time. And I find that this vertical is more efficient and much easier to deal with. It's also a really efficient use of space. And we've got this great work area here in the farm. I'm able to pop a tower off the hook, put it at waist height here at the table, and harvest at waist height. So we're not having to work down on the ground. I don't have any weeding to do, which I love. That's very helpful. So it's a lot of attention has been paid to organizing and designing the interiors of the farms to make the work straightforward and a little easier on your back. You certainly can have problems with molds, and that is all a factor of tidiness, maintenance, and ensuring that the crop is harvested before it gets too large and starts to crowd out its neighbor. So we work really hard to keep to our schedule and routine and make sure that all of the hard surfaces in the farm are sanitized on a regular basis, and that everything is maintained in a tidy fashion. These are all crops that people eat raw. And foodborne illness is a huge issue, particularly with packaged crops coming into Canada from the United States. This is something that we take very, very seriously, and it is all about safety and enjoyment for our customers. So we make sure that everything is just right before it goes out to the customer, and they have confidence that it's going to not only be nutritious, but safe for them to consume.
So let's try some of this. Seems very organized to me, actually. Okay, so do you want to show us how you take it down and lay it down and I don't know what you call it. So she's picking out wow. Okay, so it sits right in the piece there. So that's soil down below.
Actually, there isn't any soil in our system. It's true hydroponics. The plants are seeded into germination sponges, and this is a product made for the nursery plant industry in a variety of sizes depending on your crop. They're seeded in there and begin to grow and grow some roots, and this one will be ready for transplant, I would say in the next 4 to 5 days. So these are made of coconut coir and peat moss with a compostable polymer, so that they stay nice and spongy and won't fall apart in your system and clog up your lines and water emitters.
That's very cool.
So they go into the towers, and there's a food grade mesh here that just helps to hold those plugs in a snug fashion and hold them in place as they grow, and that's how it all works. The nutrient rich water flows through the root zone at the back of the tower, falls back into a gutter and rolls back into the tank. So consequently, we use about 95% less water than conventional methods for these types of crops.
This is very cool. I can't wait to taste them. Okay. Yeah, it's not bitter. And it's crispier than what I get at Thrifty's. So this looks like what I would, maybe like the quantity that I would buy at Thrifty's. How much is that right here?
That's a quarter pound, and that would be $5. So that bag is a mix of lettuce. There's a bit of kale, some mustards, red vein sorrel, and you'll even find a few edible blossoms in there.
Cool. Thank you very much. All right, so there you have it. We have visited brightgreens.ca with Tamara Knott. If you want information, how do they get in touch with you?
You can check our website, brightgreens.ca. We're on Facebook and Instagram. If you just search for Bright Greens Canada. You can catch me every Thursday evening at the Esquimalt Farmers Market, now indoors in the Esquimalt Rec Centre, or here every Saturday morning from 10 till 1. We're at 6346 West Saanich Road.
Great. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I've really learned a lot. So interesting.
It was my pleasure, Jane.
All right. Take care. If you want to be a guest on our show, please contact us. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. Take care and have a great day.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to vancouverislandtime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.